Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? And I need all of you to stop what you're doing and listen.
It's waffle box time.
I don't even know what that means.
No one knows what it means, but it's provocative.
No, it's not. It
Gets the people going.
You know what old Jack Burton always says at a time like this?
My crotch is itchy.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
What would you do if you had $1 million?
2 chicks at the same time, man.
Just thank the Lord she didn't live to see her son as a mermaid.
You killed a hooker!
Call girl!
No,
she was
Cyril, when they're dead, they're just hookers.
This time we are sure she's a woman, right?
Why do you want to listen to the TV with the stereo on?
Because I like to party.
Let's do this!
And welcome to Waffle Box, the only podcast. But the podcast that talks about anything, everything, and nothing all at the same time. This is episode 10. This week on Waffle Box, we have a man in a bubble trying to walk his way to New York. We have Woodstock 99 documentary. We have Netflix producing something about Pokemon, which is exciting, and so much more. My name is Mike Fish, and I am joined, as always, by Judge Kush Hayes. Kush, how you doing, buddy?
The Honorable Kush Hayes. Good to see you, Mike, my man. Waffle Box X coming to you live. This is a very exciting moment for us, man. 10 of these. Like, most people don't get past the first one, dude. We've done 10 of these now, and I'm looking forward to doing the next 90. I want us to get to that big C, dude.
Absolutely. Yeah, I to go off topic and talk about life lessons here, but I do find that because once you start a podcast, you do kind of start obviously trying to follow other podcasts and learn what they're doing. But you do find that I think a lot of people go into making podcasts with the wrong intentions, and they kind of like they release an episode, and if they're not having like,
if it doesn't get 100,000 views, it was trash.
Exactly. It's like, oh, what was the point of that? And then it stopped. Like,
yes.
So
I know that all too well.
So yeah, so just talk about what you love, and then if anyone listens, it's a bonus. That's what I say. And I love talking bollocks, so this is the perfect show for me.
Well, just to derail the conversation real quickly about things I love, as you see, I'm decked head to toe in SF Giants gear. We are facing our rivals in the next 30 minutes, Michael, the Los Angeles Dodgers, here in San Francisco, and it's always a bloodbath, dude. This will either be a day of triumph or it'll be a day of just misery and depression. But I'm rooting for you boys, and let's keep it going. The best team in the major leagues right now, and unfortunately, the Dodgers are just creeping up on us because that's what they do.
Okay, have you got the setup? Have you got it kind of like playing in the background so you can keep an eye on it, or are you gonna be like totally shocked when we stop recording?
I'm gonna be shocked when we stop recording. But when we stop recording, it'll probably only be like the third inning. So,
what would you be more annoyed about if you're losing, or if it's like a boring, it's still 0-0, 0-0?
Losing.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Losing. Can never lose to the Dodgers, dude. It's terrible. This is a feud that goes all the way back to New York, dude. And like lives have been lost. Blood has been shed over this. Brothers have been divided between the Dodgers and the Giants. It's pretty wild.
Because that's right. The Dodgers used to be the Brooklyn Dodgers.
That's right. Versus the New York Giants, and that was we came out here, and then they followed us and brought the rivalry with them.
So is that because that is right? Because that's why people refer to the New York Giants as the New York Football Giants to make the difference between the baseball Giants.
Yeah. I guess so. But I figure at this point, everyone knows that the New York baseball Giants haven't been in New York since the 1960s. Yeah. Maybe even the 50s.
You don't need to make that
yeah. It's one extra word you guys don't need to use, but hey, everyone loves a tradition. So good for you.
I'm not a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of the Giants, but I'm not a big fan of like the New York Football Giants. It just seems redundant at this point. It's just the Giants.
Yeah, it's football season. We know who you're talking about, babe. You know, just shake it out.
It's almost football season. I can't wait. 7 days since we last spoke. It seems, for me, I don't know about you, it felt like a long long 7 days.
Yeah, man, I heard you were having a bad time. You want to get into that, or just it was just a bad time?
I can. I thought I had COVID because that's what everybody. If you get sick, that's it. Your first thought is I have COVID. So last Saturday I hung out at someone's house, drinking all day, staying overnight, slept over, drove home.
As you do.
Drove home on Sunday, and then on Monday they revealed that they had COVID symptoms. They had like body aches, fever, and all that good stuff. Oh, that's not good. So we better keep an eye on that.
Bad news.
And then Tuesday morning, I wake up and I'm starting to feel a little bit like achy, scratchy throat. So obviously 2 and 2 make 4, right? So I'm like, oh shit, if they've got it, then I must have got it from them. And so Wednesday, I wake up feeling even worse. So I just go, okay, I'm not going to wait for them. I'll just go get a test. So I went to get a COVID test. And as
very responsible of you, FYI. Thank you.
Welcome. So on my way back, oh, he's gone. Bye.
No, keep going.
Just for those listening to the audio version, Kush is just got bored of my story, just walked off.
No.
So anyway, so on my way back, I then get a text message alerting me that they had tested positive for COVID-19. I'm like, okay, that's it. I've definitely 100% got it. So I'm freaking out.
Like, how bad is that freak out, by the way? Like, everybody, I remember being a young adult in my early 20s, my late teens, and getting that like first HIV test, and you're just like, I mean, we wore condoms and everything, but yeah, like is it on that level, or is it?
I wouldn't know how to compare the two, but I would say it's
interesting.
I think if if I hadn't had the vaccine, I would have probably been freaking out even more, because even though this is still a very unknown thing, the bit of information that we have out there is that obviously you can still catch it with the vaccine because it's not 100% bulletproof, but it does lessen the severity of it. So I wasn't like necessarily like freaking out, oh my god, I'm going to die, but also still I don't want to catch this because it's still a relatively newish thing. So who knows how it's going to affect me, because I'm not the fittest man in the world. I don't go to a gym. I eat like shit. I smoke. I drink. So.
And this has been affecting people for long term too. Like,
exactly. It's not, like, but even once you get over it, who knows how it's going to affect you down the road. But then my test came back negative, so I guess the coincidence, or I don't know, somehow I guess between hanging out with the person who's COVID positive, I managed to catch a cold or something. So so I took another rapid test just to be doubly sure, because even though the rapid test isn't as good as the full test.
Second opinion.
That came back negative as well. So I was like, all right, fine. I guess I lucked out. But yeah, it was a very...
Just to be...
Yes. Spray that Lysol.
Just don't worry about that, man. Don't worry about that.
So for those who are watching the video version of this podcast, you'll see in the background I got my blanket. So because I was the only one in the house that was showing symptoms, so just to play it safe, I isolated myself in this room until I got my test results, which was a fun couple of days. But yeah, that's my life. What about you?
But feeling better now?
100%. I've got my big beer.
Outstanding.
This is my buddy Kush. Life is good again. But you had a way more fun week than I did.
Yeah, man. I actually got 5 days of work with the National Hot Rod Association. They always go on tour this time of year, and they always come to Sonoma. So I got to do that again, like I said, for 5 days, which is it's rare for me. You know, maybe 2 days in a row if I'm lucky. There's always a setup and there's always a tear down, but sometimes there's a middle. But you know, this was five solid days of work. Worst part of the whole experience was just trying to get to the event Friday morning, and where there wasn't traffic, there was construction, which created more traffic, and then there was actually just traffic for people just wanting to spectate the event itself. Otherwise, man, is hardest thing was just surviving the heat for me.
How hard did it get?
I don't believe it ever got into triple digits, but I'm literally exposed to the sun the entire day. You know, I can duck into the shade every now and then, but like race day, I'm not at the finish line. I'm just past it, but there's no buildings. It's literally just an open lot, and maybe there's a tent there to hide under, but then that's not 100%. So
as we discussed last week, you are of the rouge hair persuasion, shall we say, which obviously isn't fun to be in the sun.
It's fine. I mean, I just come prepared. I just bring sunscreen and I just apply that shit every hour, every 90 minutes. It gets redundant, but if you don't, the consequences are much worse. I think I got some sunscreen in my eye a few times. Otherwise,
gotta be safe.
Otherwise,
don't want to get sunburn in the eye.
Yeah, seriously. But no, it was a good time. I don't know anything about racing. This is a quarter mile. I know that much. It's a straight line.
I'm pretty sure the person that gets the episode first is declared the winner. That's
I heard that. I did hear about that. So you've been studying. That's good. That's good. They do 4 different styles of cars. They also do a series of motorcycles, and then it's all day long. And I was thankful to not be at the start line. I don't remember if I went into any detail about that, but it's one of the most uncomfortable, unnerving experiences I've ever had, where just every part of your body just vibrates violently, unnaturally. But the guys who did get to work the start line, they loved it. They were like, "Oh man, I wish I could do this more often." So I was just like, "You can have that," and they did, and it was good.
I guess there's a little bit of adrenaline going on there when you feel the vibrating.
I do believe the audience is getting some sort of sexual gratification out of it because they're sitting on those aluminum metal bleachers, so that's vibrating even more, and it's their bits and pieces are right on top of it, so they're having it's like the ultimate Sibian for Howard Stern fans.
You have to there's probably at least one person with a family, and this kid was like, "Mommy, go speak to your father. I'm busy."
Plenty of kids running around, unfortunately, to stay after that little exhibition there. But yeah, it's maybe one of the most diverse sports I've ever seen. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of pale faces out there, but
I was gonna say, is hot rod racing a diverse sport?
Well, here's what's up: is there's no gender bracket. Like, it's if you can drive that fucker straight at 300 miles per hour, you're in. And most of these folks turn out to be little people. So like, I saw the average racer was like maybe 5'1" if you were a dude. And then there's this family of just hot chick racers called the Force family. And they're like all 4'11". So like the smaller you are, the lighter you are. Naturally, girls fit both those classifications. Therefore, Brittany Force goes like 303 miles per hour before she has to deploy her parachute. It's
I heard
little interesting details like that.
Yeah, we've raced because I don't follow hot rod racing, but I follow Formula One, and I know for a fact that they obviously for speed purposes and weight distribution and all that good stuff, they have like a maximum weight that they want the entire car plus the driver. So obviously they want drivers that can drive the car, but yes, same thing. They prefer if you're smaller, so they can then have more gadgets on the car rather than human weight.
I saw one dude who was unusually tall for everyone else that I saw, and actually unusually muscular. Like he spends a little too much time in the gym, and sure enough, like he only went like 145 miles an hour, as opposed to everyone else is doing over 200. And because again, that one lady is super duper short, she goes 300 miles an hour. It's it's really there's a lot of interesting stuff within it, but it's nothing I would want to follow. When you casually watch it, though, like you see these two cars, like one of them wins by 0.03 of a second. You're just like, fuck. I used to tell this story my first year in 2016, 2017. I forget which one, but I would be like, how fucking hard is it to drive a quarter of a mile at 200 miles an hour? Mike Fish, it is apparently so difficult that I saw a woman sideswipe a wall. She got out of the car. She waved to the crowd. She was assisted to an ambulance, and then it would be reported that her pelvis was shattered and her career was over. But then I got so annoyed this weekend telling that story. I'm like, why don't I know this woman's name? So I looked it up. Sure enough, she came back this year. She's on the comeback trail. She rehabbed, all that good shit. And unfortunately, for the purposes of this show, I still don't have her name. But I was like, oh, shit.
Well, thanks for taking the time to go to Google, Kush.
Oh.
Jesus.
I like to free ball it.
Because, I mean, it can be dangerous.
Pardon the expression.
Because, obviously, as we've already discussed in the show, that's how Vin Diesel and John Cena's dad died.
In a violent, horrific fireball. I brought that up to one guy, and then I went, yeah, I probably shouldn't bring that up here.
It's don't leave toolboxes on the side of the strip. You'd be good.
Yeah, accidents happen. One guy's car did explode.
Standard.
The engine exploded. He was fine, but they had to remove the fiberglass shell body, and then they towed both of them separately. But yeah, that did happen.
Well, as long as everyone had fun. That's the main.
Everyone had fun. I had a great time. It was just a lot of downtime, which I don't mind. I get paid either way. Yeah, just beating the heat was the challenge. Objective complete.
Did anyone after their victory were they interviewed and were they like?
Oh yeah, no, that was the position I was at. Almost everyone got interviewed where I was.
I'm not really sure what to do with my hands.
Oh, you know what? They are all. That's a reference to something I know. It's probably
Talladega Nights. Ricky Bobby.
Okay. Yeah, no, everyone is just super amped, just pumping with adrenaline. So they're kind of
you ain't
bouncing.
First, you're last.
Yeah, they're excited because they definitely won. They get a little piece of paper with their race time on it, and they're like, "Check me out, ma! It's right here." Yeah,
oh, they get a little certificate. That's adorable.
They get a little receipt. They go, "Check it out! It's right there, right there." Okay. So it's not so much a.
They just get a receipt.
They get a receipt and then they get a ball cap.
Wow.
Depending on which race they're in. This year it was blue or gold.
I'm guessing the gold one was the better one.
And then the winners actually got a trophy at the end, and they do the champagne on the stage and they shake it out and spray it all over everybody. It just seems like a waste of champagne.
It's a very much a waste.
I guess they can't drink it because booze and car, but it's a waste of champagne, guys. I'm not a champagne guy. Still a waste.
In the right circumstances, I'll drink champagne. But yeah, it's a hangover waiting to happen. That stuff.
I used to have that problem. I don't know what resolved it. Maybe I just built a tolerance to champagne.
No, I'm still like I can drink 10 beers and be fine the next day. But if I have maybe just one beer and one glass of champagne, my head's going to be stinging in the morning. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the bubbles. Doesn't like it.
A show I used to produce on the Bosnet. For my birthday last year, they got me a bottle of champagne. It's right here. I don't know what to do with it. Obviously, the answer is drink it, stupid. I don't know. I don't know what to do with it. Drinking it doesn't feel like the option. So, but it's nice.
Well, I look forward to getting.
It was not a cheap bottle of
champagne. I want a champagne. Like my champagne.
The show I produced, they got it for me. So,
well, why
maybe you produce their show next. You might have better luck with them.
Maybe, or maybe I'll get.
I don't know.
2 bottles.
We'll talk to them.
We'll talk to them.
Hey! You're closer to Ohio. You could go out there.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it. Excuse me.
Hello. I would like my bottle of champagne. Kush sent me.
So, other than that, when did you finish up with them?
I got home Sunday night.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I was commuting back and forth, but the show ended Sunday night.
So that was pretty much your entire week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we had a large squad Wednesday setting everything up, and then we had a small army tear everything down. Super simple. Like I literally just like spooled up some cables, and then I went on to the next thing, like expecting to have to do 5 other things. They were already complete. Like,
Nice.
I spooled up some cable and I did a dummy check to make sure we didn't leave anything behind. Put some heavy stuff on a truck. I mean, again, the hardest part for me was, spooling this one cable. There's insider talk, Mike. I had 1,500 feet of cable that I had to spool onto a device that only could hold 1,000 feet of cable. It's bad math. It was bad math, and the guy at the truck yelled at me because he's like, "We're supposed to replace it." I was like, "You know what? I didn't have you didn't give me the spool. You didn't give me the proper spool, so I couldn't do it. Get off my back, old man."
Sounds dirty.
It's one of the few times where I just went, you know what? I don't care. I just left it. But yeah, that and just again, staying out of the sun.
Good stuff. Good stuff. It
was a good week. It was a good week.
Hats. To go on a bit of a down. I mean, I'm not going to go too much before we get into kind of like the week's topic, the week's news. Breaking news. As we're recording this, obviously, by the time this gets released, it won't be so much breaking news. And I mean, I'm not going to go too much in depth with this story because it's still very fresh and there's not much information out. But obviously, I just want to give a shout out to Joey Jordison, the former drummer of Slipknot, my favorite band. This guy, sadly, it was a statement released from his family that he passed away today at the age of 46, which is
so young.
Ridiculous. It's never nice when anyone dies, but Jesus, 46, fuck me. Don't know what. Apparently, he died peacefully at home, which is nice. But yeah, this guy, I have again for those watching on YouTube, I have that's his face. That's his face on my arm. Huge inspiration to me. Huge, like Slipknot's my favorite band. Like I said, Joey got me into drumming. Massive loss to the music world. Again, there's not really much I want to talk about because again, there's just be speculation at this point, and obviously that's disrespectful to do. But yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
Yeah, we don't want to. Well, now let me ask you, Mike. So I know of Slipknot. I'm 100% sure I've heard their music on Live 105 or even 107 The Bone. But what is their best album, and what is your favoriteest song of theirs?
Oh, that is a great question. Wait, did you say what's their best album? What's my favorite album? Because that's
their best album.
Okay, well, that question I'm not going to answer.
But if you have a favorite album,
Yeah,
those are two different things. But if you have a favorite album, that's good too.
I would say whenever it comes to anything to do with any art, whether it be music, movies, whatever.
Everything's subjective.
Exactly. So there's no. I think it's very hard to say it best. But probably my favorite would be. It's called Volume 3, the Subliminal Verses. Fantastic album.
Okay. Everyone listen to that tonight.
Everyone listens to that, and I'm actually just going to look it up because it's just escaped me. The album they released after that, because it was, I believe it was the final album that he was a part of, and it was called All Hope Is Gone. It's a fantastic album. And I would recommend, even if you're not into like heavy metal, check it out. I'm sure there's a track for you because it's a very eclectic album. There is even like a couple of acoustic ballads on there. It's like very bizarre. So yeah, check that out. My favorite song. I think I actually mentioned, did I mention in a previous episode, but it's a song called People Equal Shit. It's not a very nice name of a song. But it's
Disney will not be doing any covers of it in the next Mary Poppins movie.
It's not going to be in the next Disney Plus release, but the energy in that is incredible. And if you do anything from what we're talking about, go to YouTube and just search Joey Jordison drum solo. This dude, so at live shows, he used to get strapped into his chair.
Okay.
And his drum kit would be like fixed down. And sort of similar to
Motley Crue.
I was gonna say, yeah, the name was blank, like the drummer's name.
It's not Vince Neil. I know who you're talking about. It's, Tommy.
Tommy. Yes, Tommy. Oh my.
Tommy Lee.
Tommy Lee. There we go. Jesus, Motley Crue's a great band as well, by the way. Look them out. But yeah, so similar to him. So he would like his.
So he just rotates around,
like lift up, and and then go down and spin and round and all this like while he's doing his drum solo. Incredible. I'm pretty sure that there was some Motley Crue inspiration in there. And
100%.
And so obviously he wasn't an innovator in that, but it's like a 12-minute video of him just like going nuts on the drums. Incredible.
Okay.
Now,
rest in peace. Rest in peace, Mr. Jordan.
Cheers to Joey. Cheers.
So I know this wound is brand spanking new for you.
Literally, because I texted you, was it like an hour ago?
An hour ago. Let's say a proper amount of time as etiquette dictates passes, a year, 2 years, I don't know how long it is. But then Slipknot says, hey, it's been enough time. We got to get the band together. Joey would want it this way.
Oh, well, he hasn't been in the band for a while. He got kicked out.
Word.
He got kicked out.
We got kicked out.
Yeah, several years ago.
What did he get kicked out for?
Depends who you ask. The band, for rumor has it, it was due to basically everyone in the band was like alcohol, drugs, and all that, and everyone got clean. And from what I heard, again, I didn't speak to anyone in the band, obviously, but from what I heard, he was less infused about getting clean, and they kind of didn't want that around, I guess, or something to that effect. But obviously he came out with a statement saying he was kicked out for different reasons. It's a very messy situation. But yeah, he
for sure
was replaced.
It's the Steven Adler situation from Guns N' Roses. They kicked out the drummer of their band, Steven Adler, and it was that was the big punchline. It's like, you got kicked out of Guns N' Roses for drugs. You know what? That man today actually has like multiple sclerosis or whatever, just neurological disease he got from taking so many goddamn drugs. So it's actually realer than you think.
Indeed.
But okay.
Yeah. So shout out to them. But however, there is obviously the what's his name, who defies all of that. Is it Keith Richards?
Keith Richards, yeah.
He is literally taken. You name it. He's
like the Energizer Boy.
I don't know how that.
I'm sure he's like feasting on Gelfling blood or something, man. Like that's just virgin essence.
Nothing like they'll, as they say, was it after a nuclear blast? There will only be cockroaches and Keith Richards. There'll be only these things left.
Yeah, I concur.
Onto more pleasant things. What should we talk about? I've got a couple of things. What's a good segue from that? Pokemon.
Well, since we're talking about music, let's do the Woodstock review.
No, because that's technically a movie, and we like to keep your movie reviews to the end.
Okay.
We have structure. Because this is
structure. My bad.
10. We've got to keep the people waiting for your movie review. That's what the people want. This is all fluff. This is all filler that they get through just to get to your movie reviews.
Waffle Box is strictly designed around my reviews. That's frightening.
It is.
We didn't see Old, by the way, because it just looked stupid. And we didn't see Snake Eyes because we're just like, it doesn't look good. I mean, it looks like a lot of pretty sets, but it doesn't look good to me. And then, Mike, you remember every so often someone unproperly promoted would go like, I can't believe they showed everything in the trailer. And then they would get fucking mad that the movie was still bad. Like,
what did you expect?
That's my question exactly. And apparently people went through that with Snake Eyes this weekend.
No, that movie
better than the last two, but what the fuck was that? And I was like, it's exactly what you saw in that 2-minute and 20-second trailer that you guys are always talking about. Showed everything.
Because I'm not familiar with the GI Joe universe. But as far as I'm aware,
it's Action Force over there or something, right?
It's no Action Man.
Action Man.
But yeah, it's basically it's a action figure, right?
Yeah, it's just an action figure. He had
it's just an action figure, and Snake Eyes is he one of the villains, or is he one of G.I. Joe's friends? I don't know.
Snake Eyes was G.I. Joe's token ninja, and he was just dressed head to toe in black. He couldn't even see his eyes, so his identity was always kind of mysterious. He never spoke, so again, more mystery. Was like, did he take a vow of silence, or did he get like injured in a fight? I always forget what the explanation is supposed to be, but he's just this badass ninja, carries an Uzi and a sword. Sometimes had a dog. His main rival was Cobra's Storm Shadow, and again, like
famously, he went against Cobra Kai.
The Japanese guy with the scar on his face in the movie. It's supposed to be a big reveal, like, oh shit, that's Storm Shadow. I had no idea. Whoa. In the movie about Snake Eyes' origin, oh my god, I'm so surprised we met Storm Shadow. Wow. You fans are embarrassing. You're 40-year-old men getting upset about a movie based on a toy.
The comparison would be made, I guess, because I guess this is all coming around because of the huge success that has been seen through comic book movies. I'm assuming this is what's not maybe not all of it, but it's definitely lit the flame at least.
Well, this is the third live action G.I. Joe movie we've had in
because there was one with
years.
The Rock, right? He was in.
That's right. That was the second one. Bruce Willis was in it for some reason.
I know.
A lot of cool action scenes, but not a good movie. But again, based on a goddamn toy from 30 years prior to that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, so at least with the comic books, you have regular releases. It's almost like based on a book, essentially. Mm-hmm. You have the background, the characters. You can see the characters develop on the pages and stuff like that. So I can understand why people would get upset when they're adapted to the movie screen, that hey, that's not blah, 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 blah. But this is literally an action figure.
Well, so there, it's a little more than an action figure. So dig this. I'm sure a lot has changed since I was a teenager. Well, dig this. G.I. Joe has multiple storylines. None of them are necessarily identical, but there's a storyline with the action figures. The back of the package actually has like a whole narrative and a little bio about that figure. But then there was the cartoon. And again, there's been multiple series since I was a child, but each one of those has their own canon. Then there is the Marvel comic book, and I'm sure it's under a different publication now. But that shit had its own story that didn't follow the cartoon or the toy whatsoever. But like main staples of that franchise would get offed, and it would be permanent. It was war. It was a comic book about war. It got heavy.
Well, when did G.I. Joe
especially during
come out?
Operation Desert Storm? Well, G.I. Joe came out in the 60s as an answer to Barbie. You know, like, we're selling dolls to all these girls. Let's put dolls in the boys' hands. But let's not call them dolls. They're action figures.
So I'm going to assume at some point that was there some propaganda where G.I. Joe hated the Vietnamese and the Russians and all that shit?
Probably. I'm a little too young for that. But I could tell you they were 12 foot long action figures, same size as a Barbie doll. It was not necessarily Mattel, so don't worry about that part. But it was, it was propaganda. And then the 80s came around and like, well, we still need propaganda, but let's also make it a little inclusive. So let's have these good guys from Russia or the UK or Japan or Korea or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know, like nations that we are at war with. Let's have some good guys of those. You know, and that G.I. Joe would not just be a real American hero, despite being branded that way, but it would be a global force committed to stopping the terrorism behind Cobra.
Not Cobra Kai.
Which I think was an acronym for something, but eventually their canon would be like, oh, they're a bunch of underground snake people. Like, what? Like the first year of G.I. Joe is Cobra had this big fucking assault. and GI Joe stopped them. And then the rest of the season is them just like robbing banks and shit so they can build money to get more stock and to get more equipment and playing to start the next war. Yeah.
Damn Cobras.
Cobra.
Khan. Star Trek. Never mind. Since we've gone this avenue now, speaking of movie trailers, a couple of huge ones.
I saw both of them.
Right, let's start with the one I'm excited hugely by both of these, but the one I'm less excited about, not because it's bad, but because the other one is like way higher. Jackass Forever.
Jackass Forever.
Ever.
There you go. Yeah, I like how you did that.
Obviously, if you've seen any Jackass TV show, any Jackass movie, you know what you're gonna get, and that's what I kind of love about these Jackass movies, because it's not trying to reinvent itself for a new age, but it's just we're just gonna be idiots and film it. Enjoy.
The Jackass movies are significantly better than the TV series. I don't necessarily know why. But that has always been my opinion. I could never stand the TV show, but every time I've seen the movie, I've enjoyed all three of them. I love that third one a lot. I did not see it in 3D as was intended.
I saw it in 3D.
The funniest thing I've ever seen came from that film, and it's the midget bar fight. And it brings so much joy to my heart. And the bit just keeps going and going and going. It's just like
the little police come in,
the little police, and then the little medics, and it just keep like it's only like 4 minutes long too, which is wild because it's so enjoyable. I'm just like, oh my god, this is like a 20-minute bonanza. What's happening here? And yeah.
No, my favorite.
Now we got Jackass Forever. Oh,
well, my favorite part of Jackass 3D, as it was technically released as, was just almost. It was the perfect scene that summed up what Jackass is all about, where it's just literally a group of friends fucking around, having fun, and we're making money from this. The bit was, so obviously this movie was 3D, and it was still relatively early in the 3D revolution, where it was still very, wow, this is in 3D? What? And there was just this one scene where, I can't remember who had it. I want to say Bam, but maybe it might have been Johnny. But anyway, they just literally had this like cannon, and they just shot a dildo at the camera in slow motion, but it was in 3D. So you're just sitting there with your 3D glasses on, and this thing is wiggling its way to you. It was like, that is the perfect summary of what these movies are about. It's like, this would be funny. Let's do that. It was fantastic. But yeah, so it's the same old shit, but I'm hyped. I'm excited to see it. Is that gonna be one of you? I don't think there's gonna be much breakdown for a movie review for Jackass, but are you gonna see it?
It comes out in like 2022, right? It comes out next year, right?
Oh, actually, I don't know.
It has my attention. I don't know if I need to see it in a theater. Maybe it will just be a Netflix thing. It depends what comes out that day. It really does. I could have saw Snake Eyes or Old this weekend. I just don't care. Even with what's going on right now, I just don't care.
That is a good thing about Jackass, in that is definitely a movie you can wait for, because it's like you're not gonna get spoilers for that. It's just
no.
No one. Don't tell me what happens at the end. Like, it's not a thing. So that's a good thing.
Now let me ask you: how do you feel about Bam not being a part of it?
I couldn't give a fuck.
Okay.
Honestly, I think I understand why people are upset, I guess, and I thought he was a cool part of the group, but as far as I'm concerned, it wasn't all about one person. It's just about the group camaraderie. And at the end of the day, hey, if I don't know what's going on, if they didn't want him in the movie, then that's none of my business. I don't care. I'm still watching the movie. I guess even though it's not about one person, I think just because of the way it's been portrayed in every episode, it was always, "Hey, I'm Johnny Knoxville, welcome to Jackass." If Johnny Knoxville wasn't in it, then I guess that would have been
That would be super weird.
Bit weird because it would have felt, even though it's organized chaos almost, if you like. Whereas I think without Johnny Knoxville, it would feel like a mess. I don't think so. I think that's the only good. But yeah, hey, no offense to him. All the best to Bam. I hope he's doing well and no disrespect.
I hope you clean up, Bam. You're a good dude.
But yeah, I'm not losing sleep because he's not going to be in this movie. Let's just say that.
I would hope you wouldn't.
No.
I'm surprised Knoxville is facing the bull again. And then there seems to be a weird timeline just in the trailer, because at one point his hair is kind of salt and peppery, but then there are other scenes where he's just full on silver Steve Martin gray, Ric Flair platinum. And
I'm going to assume that maybe they started filming this pre-pandemic, and then I guess they had to shut down everything and then catch up. I'm guessing maybe that's why. I don't know, but I could be wrong. But my favorite line from the trailer is Steve-O, where he's talking about concussions.
Okay, yes.
Where he's like, hey, concussions are bad, but studies show if you get a concussion before 50, it's not so bad. And Johnny's 49, so he'll be fine. And then he gets hit by the ball. Fantastic.
I enjoyed seeing the end where I forget the dude's name, but he's always a tool in each of the movies. And they covered him in honey and salmon. Yeah. And then sure enough, they teased a bear is coming after him. I'm like, good. I hope the bear mauls him. Like,
get him, bear.
Yeah, he always comes off just. I am never sad whenever that dude gets injured. When he drives into the shelf in the grocery store and chips his tooth, I'm like, good. You had that coming for something.
I'm sure. Maybe I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he's now portraying a character at this point, but yeah, I did not have any sympathy, because at some point where he was like whining and bitching, it's like, you chose your friends.
Off like a cuck.
You chose your friends. You knew what you was doing it for. Get that bitch.
Stupid.
And then the last movie trailer, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Ghostbusters
dropped today.
It's a good trailer. Can't deny it's a good trailer. But I don't have the same goosebumps you have right now.
Okay, so
Ghostbusters Part 1 is maybe my favorite movie. It's definitely the movie I've seen the most. And I'm talking about, like, I had to replace a VHS copy because the original tape popped.
Wow.
In the player. So that's how many times I've seen it. The last time I saw the original Ghostbusters was the day after Thanksgiving, pre-pandemic, at the SF Symphony when they did movie night there, and that was the shit. I cannot recommend that enough. Go see Ghostbusters at the Symphony, yo.
Do it.
However, having said all that, I was always disappointed with Ghostbusters 2, and thus never wanted a Ghostbusters 3. I gave Girl Ghostbusters the benefit of the doubt and just went, well, there's laughs in there, but ultimately it's still pretty whack. I like the visuals, but I don't like anything else. And so finally, when we're getting, I guess, the proper Ghostbusters 3, it's like Storm. It's like Snake Eyes to me. It's like, all right, you're trying to build something from 40 years ago. It's good luck. I'm not going to be mad about it.
Oh, we have different opinions on this.
Break it on, Mike.
Okay, so firstly, I'm going to take step by step there. So, one, Ghostbusters 2 is a fantastic movie. I think it's one of those very rare situations where the sequel is on par with the original. I think Ghostbusters 1 is definitely better than Ghostbusters 2, but Ghostbusters 2 is, in my books, it's there. It's close. It's very good sequel. It's very great follow-up. It's amazing follow-up to the first one. Second of all, the all-female cast one, I didn't hate it as much as I thought I would, because as soon as it came out, or as soon as it was announced, all the information I was getting from it, where it was kind of like, it's not going to be a direct connection, and it's going to be like a reimagining and all that, blah, blah. And I was like, why? Like, just give me something. I was just hoping that one of these women was just give me like a connection where just one of them is like maybe Dana Barrett
related to like
Peter Venkman's daughter or something like that. Just, and you don't have to connect, but just have that little snippet, and then boom, you're away. Okay, there's at least some connection to the Ghostbusters. They didn't have that. It kind of annoyed me. I personally thought the visuals were terrible because I thought they were too glossy, too bright, too neon. It was
I like that. Yeah.
And I
actually saw Girl Ghostbusters in 3D, and they did this really cool thing.
Okay, I imagine that would
obviously,
be
the theater is dark. The theater is dark, so you don't see that it's being filmed in widescreen. So they got the black bars, but every time like they shoot the proton packs or the ghost in the mansion like vomits ectoplasm, like it shoots over the screen. It's again, it was a lot of fun. You know?
Oh yeah, I would have liked to have seen that. But and then second, I thought the comedy itself was too wacky. I thought the original Ghostbusters, its nuances was definitely wacky, but it was almost subtle wackiness, if I can say that.
None of those actresses are bad, but they were not good in this.
I'm not sure. Like I say, I saw it. I enjoyed it. I thought I was gonna hate it, but I enjoyed it. But I think it at least it had its heart in the right place. Like I think it tried to be a homage and respectful to the original Ghostbusters. I personally just think it fell short a little bit, but I know obviously it bombed at the box office and a lot of people trashed it. I don't think it was anywhere near as bad as a lot of people say it was. I thought it was a good movie. I just don't think it was as good as it could have been. But anyway, so yes, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which is basically Ghostbusters 3. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the trailer yet, pause this and go see it. Because if you are a huge Ghostbusters fan, I'm assuming if you're a huge Ghostbusters fan, you've probably seen this trailer already.
If you're listening to this show, you're probably a huge Ghostbusters
probably fan. But for me, I feel.
And if you're not, shame on you.
I think Ghostbusters Afterlife, at least from the trailer, the information I have from the trailer, it's gonna give me everything I wanted from the all-female one, where it's a new thing, but it has that connections, like how obviously the main cast of characters, the whiny guy from Stranger Things, who I hate. He's not my.
I haven't seen any Stranger Things, but
he's
I
in
know
Stranger Things, and he's my least favorite character in Stranger Things, but whatever. It's not the point. But he's in it, and some girl, and they're Egon's grandchildren. So there's a connection there, and blah 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 blah. It was very good, but no, the thing that got me.
What got you, buddy?
Was at the end when the phone rings and you don't see him, but someone picks up the phone. We're closed, and it's
Dan Aykroyd. I'm just going to say Dan Aykroyd.
And you can see, you can see in the door in the back, right? You can see he's still sitting at Razor Colt in New York. I swear. Not even I'm a 36-year-old man, but as soon as I saw that, there was like this almost like this guttural reaction where I literally was like, "Oh my god!" And the hair stood up on my arm. I'm so hyped for this goddamn movie.
I'm jealous. I'm honestly jealous.
But I have to like hold it at arm's length, I guess. Because at the end of the day, it's still a trailer, and who knows? The whole movie could be terrible, and then maybe that Ray scene is literally just an Easter egg almost,
just for the trailer,
and then, or maybe it's in the movie. They're like, "Hey, we need some help. Let's call Granddad's friends," and he goes, "We're closed," and hangs up on him, and that's the last you hear from him. I'll be super pissed off if that's the case, but I'm excited.
So, here's what I know about Ghostbusters Afterlife. Bill Murray is in it, and for whatever reason his announcement got quote unquote leaked twice. Like there's photos of him, current day Bill Murray, gray hair, in a Ghostbusters costume, proton pack. And then for whatever reason, like 6 months into the pandemic, people forgot about this. So they were like, oh shit, did you know Bill Murray's going to be in Ghostbusters Afterlife? Here's a picture of him, current day, gray hair, in the suit with the proton pack. It was very confusing time there. Pictures today have leaked of the toy line, which always seems to be a big substance of leaks. So there's obviously 4 child Ghostbusters, but we will also have the aforementioned Bill Murray. We will have Dan Aykroyd, and we will have Ernie Hudson, all modern day as well, according to just these toys.
Sigourney Weaver,
and also because common sense.
Sigourney Weaver's in it, apparently.
That makes sense. Obviously, we saw Annie Potts in the trailer.
Janine.
We got one. Question: do you think we will have CGI Egon? I'm saying we will.
No, I don't think we will. No, but
I would hope we won't, but I bet we will.
I think just
it feels like bad taste, but I bet they would do it still.
Now, just based on the trailer, I think it's very much set up for he's dead. He's not.
He's definitely dead.
I know he's dead. But I'm saying like
I'm talking about the character too.
I think he's gone. I don't think he'll be in there. I think there'll be
they talk about like my father's dead. He left us nothing. Oh, he didn't leave you necessarily nothing.
Not exactly nothing.
Granddad's Volkswagen. What? What's going on? Yeah.
Well, technically, that wasn't his
Egon's
car.
Definitely dead.
Ray bought that car with his because he remortgaged his parents' house and bought it.
We don't know what happened since Ghostbusters 2. Maybe Egon bought it from him.
Well, I hope they clear that up. Otherwise, did he sign?
Were you a fan of the real Ghostbusters?
Oh, the cartoon series?
Yes.
Yeah, a huge.
Based on the movie.
Huge fan of that.
It was a good show. It was a good show, and it was subtly creepy.
The opening scene where they're all walking down the street at a weird angle, and then like Slimer trips them up. Great stuff. But as my stupid young brain, I was like, I'm talking very, very, very young, because obviously the original movie came out in '89. I was only 4 years old at the time, so I didn't see the movie when it came out. I saw it a little bit later on, and I remember having my mind blown because I was like, "Holy shit! There's this movie based on my favorite cartoon, and on top of that, they've got actors that look exactly like the cartoon. Wow, how have they managed that?" But before we move on, because we're like way into this show and we've still got a lot to cover, fun little fact, I'm going to assume you know this, but maybe you don't. What is the connection between Ghostbusters and Garfield?
Lorenzo Music voiced Bill Murray's character, and Bill Murray voiced Garfield, and yeah. It was a whole thing at the time.
The Garfield cartoon was voiced by the same person that voiced Peter Venkman in the Ghostbusters cartoon, and Bill Murray voiced. That's awesome. Yeah. I love that little.
So before the Ghostbusters cartoon, Garfield had a couple specials, and people went, "Why does Garfield from the newspaper strip sound like Bill Murray?" And it's just this dude, Lorenzo Music, and he just happened to talk like that. And then they went like, "Yeah, he does sound like Bill Murray. You should be in our show called The Real Ghostbusters." Do you know why it's The Real Ghostbusters as opposed to just Ghostbusters?
Was there an imposter Ghostbusters cartoon series?
There was not an imposter Ghostbusters. There was a live action TV series called Ghostbusters from like the 1970s, and it's not good. It's made by like the same guys who did Sid and Marty Krofft, the Land of the Lost guys.
No, I did know that because I remember watching a documentary, and they early on in production of the Ghostbusters movie, they had to film a lot of the scenes twice. Because I can't remember the exact name, because it was like they had the Ghostbusters sign, but then also
so they were hoping for Ghostbusters. They were hoping for Ghostbusters, pending on like some sort of negotiation that was still being worked up. But then they like filmed all these other scenes where like we're the Ghost Wranglers.
It was either Ghost. Ghostbusters or something. It was something stupid.
It was a much terrible name that they thankfully didn't have to use.
But yeah, I remember because they had to do 2 signs on the building, so they filmed it. It was like I can't remember the documentary. I think it might have been on Netflix, maybe.
Well, Columbia Pictures licensed the name Ghostbusters successfully, finally, from the Filmation company, and then coincidentally, they did not have the rights for a cartoon. So as they were developing the Ghostbusters cartoon, Filmation were like, well, we should capitalize on this name that we leased to these guys for this super successful movie, and let's bring back our original Ghostbusters with Wacky Dude 1 and Wacky Dude 2, and then their gorilla sidekick. But they made it a cartoon.
Crazy gorilla.
So 3 days within each other, with 3 days, in between each other, you had Filmation's Ghostbusters based on the 1970s series, and then you had the way they got around it was the real Ghostbusters. And
well, I'm glad they
did. That's your Easter egg for the day.
Enjoy. Right. Also, movies. We're gonna have to. Not really much to say on this one, but it's been announced that Netflix are in production, or early production at least, of a live action Pokemon. Now, I don't really care for Pokemon. I haven't really watched the cartoons or play the video games or anything like that. But my connection with Pokemon is Detective Pikachu with Ryan Reynolds, which I thought was a fantastic movie.
Surprisingly well done.
Surprisingly well
There's
done.
no reason I should have enjoyed that, and I did.
So, what are your... was you ever a Pokemon in the Pokemon posse?
So I was already 20 when Pokemon first debuted in the United States. So it would still be on in the background sometimes. So I was aware of it. I knew the foundation behind it. A buddy of mine was a school teacher, so he would always be like confiscating Pokemon cards, or actually like he would actually study the property so that he could just bond with the students during recess. So I would get
fellow
like
young people.
Hello, fellow young people. Yeah,
I
would actually see the original movie with him in theaters, which would be quite a trip. We're like, wow. So I'm familiar with it. I like the fact that there was like, there's 100 characters. I think there's up to like 500 now. But even then, each one of those has between 2 and 3 evolutions. So it's just all this world building. It's all this intellectual property, which as a producer I appreciate. And then I never got into the video games just because I was out of the age demographic, but then did see Detective Pikachu, and I totally enjoyed that. So if this new Netflix series is anything like that, should be great.
That's what I'm.
Should be great.
That's what I'm hoping. If they continue on that kind of style and vibe and the animation, then I'll definitely check it out because that's really cool.
Yeah.
Well done. But I'm
like I read the link he gave me, and even it didn't
got some
seem
interesting
like even
people
they
behind it.
understood what was happening. Okay, who's behind it?
well. So the okay, I have to write down Joe Henderson. That's I'm terrible. Who's a showrunner on the show Lucifer? He is going to be writing it and being an executive producer, which Lucifer.
I know of Lucifer. I don't know anything about it.
There's no connection to Pokemon. But what's really cool is that I also found out that he's also working on a comic book adaptation movie from a comic book series which I didn't know existed, but it's called Shadecraft. But that's a comic book that he actually wrote.
Okay.
So he has at least
guy's a content creator.
He kind of at least appreciates the genre, I guess. So it could be good. It could be good. It's not at least someone where, because sometimes you find with these where they'll take something, for example, just an example, based on comic books, and they'll just think, okay, we want to make this really good. So they'll find a really good writer or a really good director. But when it comes to something like it's you can't just find a good director, because if he has no idea about the nicheness, I guess, of the comic books, he's probably not going to do the best job. Whereas if you get like a lesser known director who appreciates the comic books and blah, 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 he can do a better job. For example, like the Marvel Universe, what's his name? Kevin Feige?
Oh, Kevin Feige.
Which obviously, I mean, he did things way before that because he was in, he worked on Elf, I think, with Will Ferrell.
He goes as far back as Blade. Yeah.
Right, he did a lot, but obviously he was very low on the totem pole at the time. And then obviously Marvel was just like, because he was the right person for the job, rather than let's just get the big names to get involved in this. They picked the right person. So hopefully, yeah, I'm interested. I'll definitely check it out, especially since it's on Netflix. Because fuck it, it's available. I might as well watch it.
Why not? Now, do we know, is it going to be another Detective Pikachu, or is it going to be a completely unique series entirely? Is it going to follow the adventures of Ash, Misty, and Brock? What else could you tell me? Because when I read the article, it felt like they didn't know.
Yeah, no, I think that it's very. I think they jumped on. They just got the tiny little bit of breadcrumb information. They just wrote an article about it. I think it's very early stage. I imagine I wouldn't even be shocked if a word hasn't even been written on a script yet.
Who do you think should play Jesse and James Team Rocket? I would like to say the Gyllenhaals, but I think they're a little too old for this now. But it should be like a brother and sister acting team.
See, I
don't know if there are any out there.
I don't know. I'm not fingers on the pulse to know like a younger brother sister team.
That's okay.
But I don't know. Who knows? Who knows? But anyway, let's move on from that. Quick thing. Right, okay. I was going to go into a huge rant, but it doesn't really need to be a huge rant. So everyone knows Mike Lindell, my pillow guy, the creepy guy likes to sell his pillows. Yeah. So he's been doing the rounds again. His name's been trending. So basically what's happened is, again, this isn't the whole point of the story, but what he's been doing is he's been saying that he has like a ridiculous amount of evidence of voter fraud, blah, 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 US election, blah, 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 blah. And he's saying, so he's spouting information. He's saying that, hey, I've got so much evidence on this, and now I'm going to give it to the Supreme Court, and they're going to love it so much so that what they're going to do is they're going to strip Joe Biden of the presidency, and they're going to give it back to Donald Trump. Like, that is what he's saying.
That's not how that works.
Well, okay. So yes, one, even if let's just say he's telling the truth and he has all this amazing evidence.
All the evidence.
So at this point, the vote has been made, but it's the electoral college. The electoral college has made their vote in the House, blah, blah, blah. So it's gone beyond that point now. So it's, even if there was voter fraud, nothing can be done now. And even if they even if it was like some Scooby-Doo moment and they ripped off the mask and it's Joe Biden, oh, it was him all along. He did it. Evil Joe Biden. Nothing could be done because now he's a sitting president. He's been inaugurated. Is that the word? Inaugurated.
Yeah, he's sworn in.
He's sworn in. So now he can only be removed for crimes that he does while he's president. So one, all these people going nuts about what my pillow guy is saying, like just 2 minutes on Google, you can find out that all what he's saying is bullshit. My point is, and again, this isn't, we was talking a little bit before we was recording about getting political information, views from a non-American. Here's what it is. Okay. So this isn't me taking shots at the Republicans or anyone. If you voted for Donald Trump, if you like Donald Trump, cool. That's your right. None of my business.
Mike has a unique perspective on this too, FYI. Like he has a third person point of view. Like he's in New Jersey, but he's watching all this from the outside of the fishbowl, folks. Okay. So he's been brought up in a different culture through a different series of means. This is all, pardon the phrase, this is all very foreign for him. So this is what he's observing. Break it down, Mike.
So yeah, so this isn't anything to be, because at the end of the day, let's be real, whether you're looking at the people on the left or the people on the right, realistically, yes, obviously they have different points of view and different opinions, but realistically, they're cut from the same cloth. None of these people really have any, maybe they have the best intentions, maybe, but whether they're on the left or the right, none of these people have any idea what it like. They're not looking out for the common man. They don't know how to do it. Blah, blah, blah. It's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And the fact that some people, I mean, it's getting this way a little bit back in the UK. It's why I left, and then I came here, and it's still the same, whatever. But it's almost like sports teams, like people who are like, I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to vote for it. No matter who it is, they're a Democrat, so I'm going to vote for them. Oh, I'm a Republican, I'm going to vote for that.
I have a friend of mine out of Georgia.
Blows my mind.
Sweet woman. I don't believe there's an evil bone in her body, but she's a Trump supporter, and even when he says something just completely stupid, she doubles down. She double downs on that shit. You're like, no, he's right, and you're just like, what are you talking about? But also, she compared at one time. She follows politics like she follows Georgetown Tech, which is a college sports team, FYI. Like she follows it as a sports franchise. She has all of her players on her team, and it was just, we got into this huge debate one night in Holland with a friend of mine from Germany, and we're just like, bitch, this is not how it works. Okay, this is not sports teams. People are literally dying over this stuff. Okay, it's right and wrong, and it's funny just how everybody perceives stuff.
The best conversation I remember. So, like I mentioned it to you before, but I used to work at a restaurant in New York City. I used to finish late, and so by the time I would get home, I would wait for the bus. I'd grab a beer, and it'd be like midnight, 1 o'clock, and it was by Times Square. So obviously, you have all the interesting people in Times Square. And I was chatting to this guy who was from, I want to say Texas, but I could be wrong. But anyway, we was talking blah blah blah, almost similar vein to this, in that he was interested to get my opinion on how this all works as an outsider. And I was like, okay, well, I think this this is just after Donald Trump had been elected, and I was like, well, it just seems bizarre that everyone's so hyped about this guy when Donald Trump has done X, Y, and Z. I'm not going to give you a. And then his rebuttal was, yeah, but Hillary X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, one second. But my whole point was like, I'm not picking sides here. My point is, does it not concern you that you're defending one person doing shitty things because someone else did maybe shittier things? But everyone's being shitty. Like,
yes.
Like, is that not a problem?
Yes. That is a problem. I agree.
No matter which side, it's all shitty. But anyway,
it's two sides of the same coin. Yeah.
The whole point of this piece, why I wanted to bring it up, was because Mike Lindell has been speaking shit and people are listening to him, right? Because it's been very publicized that, and I'm not speaking to broadly speaking Republicans. I know Republicans, they're good people. Just because we disagree on politics, they're not evil. So I'm not speaking to all, but I am speaking though to those people who, for example, here's an example, what has happened. So like LeBron James speaks up about something political. Shut up, LeBron. Stick to sports, stick to basketball. And then Colin Kaepernick takes his knee. Stop talking about politics, stick to football, blah, 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 blah. And then, I don't know, some musician says, stick to music. And then this guy pipes up, and everyone's like, oh, what have you got to say? This motherfucker makes pillows.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Why
he figured
are we listening
out
to him?
How to stuff cotton into a silk sack at the most economic way, and people listen to him for some reason.
It just blows. Like, why is this guy so highly renowned?
I know religion has a big thing to do with his situation as well. Like, he's a big Bible thumper, and that's a whole built-in audience too. That is also very conservative. So that usually the two hands are shaking. So yeah, that's why he's getting. That's why people give him an audience.
But my conclusion of this little segment here is not to trash anyone for their political views or anything like that, but these people, I don't know whether he's an idiot or a genius, because maybe he's just spouting nonsense just because it gets him attention and it gets more attention to his company. I don't know. But what he's saying literally takes 30 seconds to debunk on Google. So just no matter what, just research, find out the truth. It's very easy sometimes.
Google's free, everybody. Google's free.
It's nonsense. It just blows my mind.
Even if he was right and he has the smoking gun and they were able to remove Joe Biden, I still think they would just be like, well, now it's Kamala Harris's position.
That's it, yeah.
Now we have to swear her in because of the laws X, Y, and Z.
Well, we went through this when
I think that's how it works. I could be wrong.
When Donald Trump got impeached.
It wouldn't go back to Trump.
No.
It
So when Donald Trump was getting impeached and they were talking about trying to get him out of office, if that had happened, it was because it was obviously a huge thing, it was very widely known that if Trump gets removed from power, it would go down to Mike Pence, his vice president. It wouldn't just go back to Barack Obama. It's all, oh, you're the last person here. Back. So yeah, if Joe Biden, even if Joe Biden was the most evil person in the world and they got rid of him, it would be Kamala Harris. It would be the next president. So Google is your friend. I mean, Google as a company is not your friend, but the website, the search engine, you can use that. It's pretty helpful. So there you go.
I used to send Obama tweets like, "Hey man, come on, legally change your name and put an apostrophe in that last name. Make it Obama. Make yourself an Irishman, and rerun again." Like, there's nothing in the book says that you can't change your name and run as a brand new person. Like, I dare any of you to find me the law that contradicts that. There's no rule that says a dog can't play football, and there's no rule that says Obama couldn't run for a third term under a different name. Or Trump, for that matter, actually, now that we're on it. Well, how diabolical would it be if Donald Trump changed his name to just Donald Trump or whatever, Mike Jones?
Or he could just change his name back to his original name.
Oh, what's his original name?
It's a German name. It's like Trump. It's got like an F in it and all that shit.
Oh, maybe he should do that.
Wasn't his dad or his grandfather was German, I think. He's from an immigrant family. Anyway, that's a whole rabbit hole we're going to get into. We're not going to get into that one. Let's talk about some stupid shit before we get into Woodstock 99. So, on a lighter note, so a man in Florida, which is always a good way to start a story. Everyone loves a man from Florida.
Germany or Florida.
So this guy, you have to look it up. This guy. So just Google man in a hamster wheel. This guy designed like this contraption, which looks like a hamster wheel, but it has some flotation devices in it and stuff like that. So what he was going to do for a good cause, for charity, he was going to raise money for charity. He was going to walk on water from Florida to New York, which is like 1,000 miles. So, okay, but for those who haven't, I know you've read the story, but for those who haven't read the story, here is like the best part. And again, I meticulously took notes because I have to get this right because this is fantastic. So, a man who wants to run on water from Florida to New York, traveling 1,000 miles from Florida's East Coast for charity. Okay, so he was obviously, for those who don't know the geographical layout of America, Florida is down south, New York is up north. So to do that,
that is true.
You need to travel north 1,000 miles.
This is true.
So
I've confirmed that.
He ended up being washed up onto the shore in St. Augustine, which, again, for those who don't know geographically, is 30 miles south of where he started up. So
that's got to be embarrassing.
Well, and scary, I imagine. So for 30 miles,
there was not a lot of thought put into this. Now, Again, I read the article, but there's details I think missing. Do we know how long he thought this 1,000-mile walk was going to take on water? Like, was it going to take him a week? It wasn't going to happen in a day. Like,
No, that was going to
did he not think about wind resistance in the giant plastic bubble that he's trying to navigate on?
Did he have food?
Where's he going to go to the bathroom?
Oh, no, that's easy. You just go wherever you want now.
You just poop in the bubble. Ew. Yeah. And then
Pick it out.
You walk on it, and then all of a sudden it's above you, and it splats you.
No, you stop walking, and you squat over the side. Come on, Kush.
There's no over the side. It's a sphere. You're in a sphere.
No, I don't think he was enclosed in. I think there was some. Anyway.
That's what I got out of it. He was in a giant hamster ball.
I think we're ignoring some of the important things here about rather than where he poops. But
this man did not think this out, correct?
Well, he did. He didn't think it. So I just want to know what was going through his mind when he was traveling backwards for 30 miles until he finally got rescued. But
the way I interpreted it is he caught some bad weather that knocked him around, and he woke up 30 miles behind where he wanted to start. That's what I got out of the article.
Like, so, hey, I'm gonna run on water for 1,000 miles to get to New York, and then when you finish, you're 1,030 miles away from where you want to be.
How long would that take? Like, how long does that take on when you're just running on straight land? Like,
well, even so, okay. So let's try to do the maths here. So, okay, so what's the average running speed? Is what would you say? Probably like at a push, like for a long distance run, averaging you probably. At best,
20 miles an hour?
No. Well, average?
Average. I mean, you're not going to be running 24 hours. You're not going to be running all 24 hours.
Well, that's okay. But I would probably imagine a running pace.
Your thighs are totally going to be chafed. You're going to have blisters on your feet by the end of day one.
So I would say
by the end of your nipples are going to get all bloody. That's the thing that happens in just regular marathons that take only 3 hours to do.
Well, I'm going to Google this. What's it? So average running speed for a human.
How long does it take to run 1,000 miles?
Sorry, I'm not sure about that.
That's an honest answer. I appreciate that.
Okay, so for a good pace, you're looking 10 miles per hour.
Okay.
When you're running, so 1,000 miles divided by 10 is over 100 hours. Divided by so even if he's going full pelt 24/7, it's going to take him over 4 days to get there. He didn't think this through. He did not think this through.
Yeah.
Reason I know he didn't think this through.
What a maroon.
Is because so this is the history of this man. So in 2014. He tried something similar and had to get rescued by the Coast Guard in 2014. Funny enough, near St. Augustine again. And then in 2016, he was rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard off the coast of Jupiter in Florida. And 2021, rescued by the U.S. Coast Guard. So this guy, and he was quoted.
This guy has a, yeah.
This guy was quoted as saying, I will show people anything you want to do, do it. Don't listen to anyone, chase your dreams. Which I adore. Like, I appreciate that. But however,
it's a good message, but you should still listen to people.
However, if you've, so again, and there's the whole thing, like, hey, if at first you don't succeed, try again. However, if after 3 attempts and all 3 attempts have ended you up further away from where you started, getting rescued by the Coast Guard, maybe you need to realign your dreams. Maybe. Like this guy, just drive to New York if he wants to go to New York, or get a plane. Stop trying to walk on water. It's not for you. Oh, there you go.
There's a scene in Captain America Civil War when Cap is at the funeral of his lady love. eulogy, and she makes this whole speech about like, if you're right and everyone else is wrong, you gotta plant yourself in the ground, real tight, and just say, no, I will not move, you move. And a lot of people, I feel like, are just taking that speech or something similar to it and applying it to their lives.
Literally.
When they should have no business doing so, much like this gentleman. Like, he should listen to some friends that go like, hey man, you're going to be running on the water for more than 4 days. Like, we're getting food, bathroom, weather, wind, sleep. Yeah, how are you going to commit to all this?
Because but
I'm sure
on the
friends who have brought that up. I'm just sure.
You are going crazy right now. I don't know what's happening, but you are like, so you.
I'm here. You sound fine.
But anyway, that's the main part. You're getting blurry as hell. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, that's that. Don't run on water. If you want to go to New York from Florida, just get on a plane. Fucking idiots.
Well, the more you know.
More you know. Right, let's wrap this show up with Kush's Movie Corner. So I haven't seen this. It was a documentary on HBO, Woodstock 99. Obviously, I know about Woodstock 99. It's very famous, but I haven't seen this documentary. Tell me about it. All
right, so this is actually part of a series that HBO is doing called Music Box, and I don't know how many episodes will be in it, but the Music Box.
Are they just ripping our name off?
It's a generic name. It's called Music Box. That's the series.
Maybe.
The name of the documentary was Woodstock 1999: Peace, Love, and Chaos, or something like that.
A little bit of chaos.
Are you hearing me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Okay, groovy. I can hear you perfectly. I haven't had any problems on this end. So
yes.
Obviously the original Woodstock festival from the 60s was a thing. It was 1968. Maybe 1969. And original festival, it would just rain the entire time. So people were just dancing in the mud and slinging mud balls at each other and just having dirty sex in mud. All right. 5 years later, they're like, well, let's celebrate the 30th anniversary of Woodstock. And these are the same promoters who did the 1994 festival in conjunction with the original dude from the festival from the 60s. He has very little to do with it, but they want him to be a part of it, ceremoniously. Instead of a field, they found an abandoned military base, which would be huge enough, but it's kind of a contradictory message. Peace and love on the military base. They would put up a wall with just a giant mural, which again, it's very contradictory to what the idea of Woodstock is about. But the guys are also like, well, they knocked down our fences in 1994, and so we lost all this money. And we need to make the money because, business. They 3-day concert again. They booked like 100 artists. And then when, the big names aren't playing, they're like doing a rave all night. No rain this year. Instead, we get a major heat wave. Again, we're not in some field. We're on a military base. It's all asphalt and concrete. So that asphalt and concrete is not only soaking up the sun, but is making things hotter. On top of that, this festival drew over 300,000 people. Therefore, all those bodies crammed together are now absorbing even more heat, causing folks to go through hypothermia and other just really funky incidences that require medical attention. People died. There's a story about a group of friends. They're Christians or whatever they are, but they don't do drugs. They don't do drinking. They don't do any of that shit. But as happens at most major large festivals, they lost one of their friends. Well, he'll show up later. But then later happened, and then later happened, and then later happened, and then the festival was done, and they never found him. And at first, I thought they just ditched him. He died. He died not only from hypothermia, but because shit was just so chaotic, the paramedics thought he was overdosing, so they shocked him with the paddles, thus killing him.
Well, didn't
multiple.
But didn't the coroners wasn't? Don't get me wrong, the heat and all that shit, but also wasn't it obesity as well? Didn't that play?
Yeah, that's the coroner. That's the report after you're dead. That's the report after you're dead.
Still relative information.
It is, and they assess that he just multiple sexual assaults. Now, again, out of concert goers, 300,000 people, there were actually only 8 reports. 4 of those went to trial with guilty convictions, but there were stories where another paramedic brought a girl back to the tent wearing his jacket and nothing else because just a bunch of angry frat boys just tore the clothes off this woman, and then she just didn't know what to do and just was naked and traumatized and shell-shocked, and it was just lots of that shit. They estimate hundreds of girls were sexually assaulted, if not just flat out raped at this concert. The bands all had weird energy. They're like, yeah, this is a weird vibe. At first, Moby was just mad because his name wasn't on the plaque, but then he was just like, no, everyone's really aggressive at this show, man. But this is also, again, this is the end of the 90s, so Limp Bizkit is headlining with, break shit. So people broke shit.
Literally, they burned things down.
What they could do, there was a shortage of porta potties.
No.
So the porta potties were all destroyed within 5 hours of this 3-day concert. There were showers available to people, but the line was just too long. So eventually some J-Brone just busted a pipe and people started showering amongst the porta potties, which were destroyed and now flooding. So then septic waste is just spilling out onto the ground. And then again, much like 1994, people mistook it for mud. So people just started slinging shit at each other. And Jackass, as we mentioned earlier in tonight's show, is a thing. So J-Brones, again, are trying to do that thing where they hop from the roof of one porta potty to another, but it's just too far, and shit, just smash my face on a solid object and then just fall into shit. The promoters would actually hold a press conference or whatever that was apparently open to the public. So there's a lot of finger point going on in this documentary, and much of that weekend as well. So just some regular Joe Blow who was attending the concert was like, this is a disgrace. This is day 2, FYI. The NFL, Major League Baseball, and major concerts, they're able to throw these events and actually have a decent cleaning crew. I can get 10 of my friends to come here, and we could do a better job than your staff is doing. And so promoters just called him out. I was like, cool, get 10 of your friends. We're going to pay you $100. Fuck that. We're going to pay you $1,000 an hour to clean up. Or you could just shut the fuck up and not litter. How about do your part? But again, lots of finger pointing. Those same promoters would get mad at MTV, who they invited to cover the show. And MTV just wants to hang out and want to talk about Metallica and No Doubt and Sheryl Crow and Limp Bizkit and all of their usuals. But guess what? They're like, girls are being sexually assaulted, and then water is $4 a bottle, and people are starting to loot. And now there are fires. Okay, we're getting the word. We got to evacuate. So Woodstock '99 sucks. We're out. And the promoters was like, they had it out for us the entire weekend. They just were not on our side. They were just there to just stroke the fire.
They weren't on our side. They just used the fires and the rapes as an excuse to get out of this.
Well, day 3 happens, and then we get to the fires.
Oh,
the fires day 3. I'm terribly sorry to say at this point in tonight's conversation, and after this many pours, I forget what started the fires finally, but people just had enough. It's 3 days, no showers, no porta potties, water is fucking expensive. ATMs are broken. Oh, there are ATMs at this concert.
That's never good.
So someone set something on. Oh, this is how the fire started. a non-profit group with the intention of just like, bringing some cause to everybody's attention, handed out candles at the gate.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Those candles were then turned into they just started setting stands on fire, booths on fire. And then this concert is not in Woodstock, New Jersey or New York or wherever Woodstock is supposed to be. It's actually in Rome, New York.
Rome, New York, yeah.
The mayor of Rome was at the concert, and then in the most Scooby-Doo fashion went Red Hot Chili Peppers. People are setting this concert on fire. You have to do something. And Red Hot Chili Peppers was like, what the fuck are we going to do? All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. And they started playing the Ohio Players, Fire. Burr, 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 fire. The Red Hot Chili Peppers performance ends or it gets put on pause so that Rome, New York Fire Department can come in and put out the fire.
Oh, I thought you were going to say like the mayor of Rome come out and say, Mamma mia,
Mamma mia. Oh, no.
What the fuck are you doing to my town?
Rome's on fire. So throughout the entire documentary, they interviewed the promoters, they interviewed some security guards, they interviewed some performers, they interviewed some spectators, and one of them had the fucking nerve to go, yeah, it's really funny because I started out as this really nice kid when I got there who never drank or did drugs, and by the end of it, I was rioting and setting fire, and well, I guess when in Rome.
I appreciate that. Because I mean, I wouldn't have been doing the crime thing, but I would definitely have made that pun at some point.
Yeah. Security was super outnumbered. 100%. Like, and the powers that be required the promoters to get actual licensed bonded security guards for this thing, which for what they needed just didn't exist. So they figured out a way to rush new applicants through. So you Mike would go to this address, and then they would sit you at a table, they would give you a test, they'd give you a pencil, and they would be like 1A 27 3. They'd just give you the answers, and they would get you your license. And then because you don't give a fuck, you just want to go to Woodstock, you would then pass your test, you would then take your credentials, and then you would just disappear into the audience and never be seen from again because you just wanted to go to the concert and finger blast some teenager. Well, you're a nasty man. What can I say? So at some point, security is actually the security that is doing their job. They get a little bit afraid. They're like, an announcement goes over the radio, like, okay, everybody, turn your shirts inside out and tuck your credentials inside that shirt and just try and blend in and don't get hurt. And like complete chaos. And then the concert ended and everybody left this abandoned military base in ruins. It's a fantastic documentary. Lots of finger pointing from all sides, but it shows multiple points of view. I don't know what the next episode will be. I don't know when it will be, but it definitely has my attention. Music Box, Woodstock 1999 is now on HBO Max. I would absolutely give this 4 out of 5 blueberries.
Good stuff.
Yeah, man. A lot of shit that I just had no idea about and just was shocked by. There's such a mismanaged thing that what's the biggest crime out of this is the promoters are still in denial of what they were just in the wrong of. I mean, to be fair, maybe they just didn't know better, but they're still just trying to like, that wasn't our fault. Just motherfuckers, 25 years ago now. Like, take credit for your misdeed.
And then they later teamed up with Ja Rule to try to create
the Fire Fest. Yeah. Have you seen either of those documentaries?
I have. What a shit show.
Yeah, fantastic shit.
What a shit show.
Oh.
I
Ironically, I don't think anybody got raped at the Fire Festival, so good on them.
I guess that's good. Yeah, I guess so. Technically, Firefest was more successful than Woodstock 99. Technically, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, they did a comparison. So that same year, the Coachella Festival started, and The Coachella Festival, since its inception, generates $106 million for Indio, California.
Not bad.
Woodstock 99 only generated about $500,000 for Rome, New York. So,
Yeah, I
huge
imagine
fail.
if I drive up to Rome,
Huge
New
fail.
York, I'm sure they're not going to have a sign saying "Home of Woodstock 99."
No.
Pretty sure they want to forget about that. So we're going to end this week's show on
Super show.
On a very super show, but on a little one. So I just want to, obviously thank our listeners who now hail from 7 different countries, 17 states in the United States. We are a wide range of listeners, but there is one
Local
person,
by choice, international by nature, bitch.
But there is one person who doesn't clearly listen to this show who should. I'm gonna out them right now. Is Pink. You know Pink, the music artist Pink.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually got to see Pink's concert get set up in between the NBA finals.
She is awesome. She's a badass, great musician, and great artist. Awesome person. But I did see something recent where she came up. If you listened to last week's episode where we were talking about the Norwegian beach handball team, who obviously got in trouble and fined because they wore shorts instead of bikinis. So Pink came out and was like, "Hey, this is a disgrace. I'm willing to pay the fines for these players." And I was like, I was like, "That's a nice move." But Pink, if you'd have just listened to last week's Waffle Box, you'd have known that the Norwegian Handball Federation had already paid for those fines. It's already covered.
Oh,
so
well, she can still
it's a
give
nice
them
gesture,
money for it.
But Pink, listen to Waffle Box more often, and you'll get your information. You know what I mean? I'm just throwing that out there. Big respect for you, but listen to the show more often, Pink. Come on, get with the times. This is the hot thing. This is the main thing.
Put her in her place, Mike. I'm proud of you.
Probably. All right. So that wraps it up for what do we got? What do we got coming up? Have we got anything on the Bosnet family coming up this week that people need to check out?
For sure. Today, as this drops, Wednesday, July 28th, we are actually dropping Sweet Science Cinema number 4. Ooh. Me and Pro Wrestling Hall of Famer Jameel Hemphill, we welcome co-host and master Len Kabazinski from the Kick-Ass Movie Podcast in, and we're going to talk about Walter Hill's Undisputed. That's right, Wesley Snipes versus Ving Rhames. We're going to talk about that. It's a fantastic discussion. You should check that out. Also coming up, Kush Hayes' 22nd celebration of his 21st birthday. That's going to be on Twitch TV August 6th, twitch.tv/barelyfunctionalgamers, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. That's going to be free to the public. Me and the kids from the Overlook Hour Theater, as well as Barely Functional Gamers, we're going to be playing Rock Band in celebration of the Honorable Judge Kush Hayes.
Did you get your gavel yet?
No. I don't think we're going to get a gavel.
I'm judging my eyes then.
Oh, all right. Well, little Sister Hayes, I guess we need to get a gavel then, and maybe a powdered wig and a robe. Might as well do the whole thing.
If you can do
the
whole shebang.
Since we are a judge, the Honorable Judge Kush Hayes will be presiding over Iron Dragon TV's Action Fest 2021. That's August 14th. You can find more information on idtvactionfest.com.
Beautiful. But until then, make sure you follow us on all the socials. I am at Mr. Mike Fish. That's MR. Mike Fish. He is. Wait, they reversed. I'm mirrored now, so I have to work out. So this guy right here, is Kush_Hayes, and of course you can follow the show. Don't forget the underscore. And you should obviously follow us at Wafflebox POD on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Never miss an episode, and obviously subscribe wherever you get podcasts: Spotify, Podcast, Google Podcasts, Amazon, iHeartRadio.
Mike, what do you want to hear next week? Do you want to hear about Jungle Cruise or A24's The Green Knight? Both are coming out Friday.
Got to go with Dwayne Johnson.
There you go. Next week, guys, review for Disney's Jungle Cruise.
It's good. Yeah,
Should be fun. Should be fun.
Good. Anything with Rock the Dwayne Johnson in is amazing.
I know we're trying to get out of here. I took Mama Hayes to see the African Queen for her birthday, 70th anniversary. It's very, very similar to what Jungle Cruise is.
Oh,
but at some point,
was The Rock in that?
The Rock is not in that, but Humphrey Bogart is. And when he hooks up with Katharine Hepburn, she's a early 20th century Victorian woman living in Central Africa, trying to convince the natives to be Christians and Catholics and whatever. And at some point, the Germans, before we started calling them Nazis, because this is the First World War, not the Second, they kidnapped the entire tribe. And then she hooks up with Humphrey Bogart, and she's like, "Hey man, you got all these supplies, you got these heavy metal cylinders. What if we made some torpedoes, hooked them up to the side of the African Queen here, and bombed the fucking Germans, yo?" And then they do. That's the African Queen, 70 years old.
Check it out wherever you find your movies, I guess. Jesus. Intense.
I made it more intense. It's actually very dry and very old. And again, it's Katharine Hepburn is wearing a full early 20th century Victorian gown, but then there's a sexy bathing scene, Mike. But you know what? She takes that dress off, and she's got another gown under her that covers all the way to her ankles, and then she bathes in the African River, and ew.
Spoiler alert, that was mentioned last week on the Waffle Box.
Did we mention that last week?
I did.
You.
Do you even listen to the show that you're even on? Jesus.
Dude, I'm on 5 series. All right, I can't keep track of what I say where.
Notes.
Anyway. Am I really going to thumb through my... Did I talk about that last week as I'm in the middle of my thought?
Well,
Probably
it's a good job. One of us is paying attention at least. But yes.
You do a great job, Mike. You're a fantastic host, guys. Give Mike Fish some love on the Twitters at Mr. Mike Fish. I've been at Kush_Hayes.
There you go. Follow me. Give me love. Give me love. Yes.
Love.
But until next week, obviously, don't forget.
I'm terrible at this.
No, you got it. You got it hard. But for our podcast listeners, this is terrible content. By the way, Kush is making like a heart shape out of his hands.
Trying to make heart.
It's
heart
very
hands.
adorable.
Yeah.
But on that note, don't forget to take care of yourself and each other.